Namaste. A warm good morning to you all. Today, I'm going to be speaking about the law of rhythm. Next slide, please. Let us look around ourselves. We will see ample examples of rhythm in nature. The sun rises in the morning and sets in the evening. The moon rises as soon as the sun sets and disappears as soon as the sun rises. The four seasons come and go in a year. There is a rhythm in the chirping of birds. The great sage Panini observed a rhythm in the rooster's crow. With this, he defined the sannyas, Hraswa, Dirgha, and Plutaha. He converted this into a sutra in the Ashtatyayi, which is Ukalo Jhraswadirgha Plutaha. Isn't it amazing? There is a rhythm in the sound of a flowing river. You might have heard about the recently held Mahakumbh Mela, the celestial conjunction of Saturn, Jupiter, Moon, Earth, and Sun, which only occurs once in 144 years, is celebrated as the Mahakumbh Mela. Next slide, please. Now, this was rhythm in nature. Let us look at rhythm in our own lives. You'll notice that there is a rhythm in a beating heart. There is a rhythm when we breathe. There is a rhythm when we do various activities like running, jogging, walking, or even singing, dancing, playing, and working. It is this rhythm that makes the act all the more wonderful and pleasing. Next slide, please. Now, let us define the law of rhythm. Everything in the universe has a unique rhythm that it beats to. And these different rhythms develop into patterns, cycles, etc. in life. The law teaches us that everything has its rise and fall, and its flow and ebb. The law of rhythm encourages us to follow the natural flow of energy and harmony of the universe. Next slide, please. Now, let us look at biological rhythms or circadian rhythms. There is an internal clock inside our body. It is this internal clock which manages a series of bodily functions and controls cycles like sleep and wakefulness, body temperature, hormone secretion, etc. This internal clock is called the suprachiasmatic nucleus or SCN. This SCN is located in the hypothalamus area of the brain and constantly sends signals to regulate body activities. Factors like light exposure, eating habits, and other environmental cues may maintain or disrupt our biological rhythms and affect our internal clock. So, next slide, please. Now, let us look a little closer at factors affecting biological rhythm. Light exposure. We must ensure that we are getting adequate light exposure, especially sunlight. Recent studies have proven that streetlights and night lights severely affect the biological rhythm of birds and animals. Most birds and animals sleep during the night. And when we switch on our night lights, street lights, the small birds and animals, they confuse this for sunlight. This severely affects their internal clock or their biological rhythm. Environment. We must ensure that we are working in a clean and clutter-free environment. I know many of you have heard this again and again, but let me please repeat this once again. We must ensure that we are eating the right food, especially a balanced diet, and also food that can be easily digested by the body. Next slide, please. Now let us look at the law of rhythm in higher realms of life. You'll notice that no phase is permanent. After one phase comes, another phase replaces it. Happiness is followed by sorrows, and sorrows are followed by happiness. Gains are followed by losses, and losses by gains. Success is always followed by failure, and failure is always followed by success. Next slide, please. Now let us look at the law of rhythm through the eyes of the Bhagavad Gita. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tata dehantara prapti terastatra namuhyati dehinah asmin dehe yata kaumaram yauvanam jara tata dehantara prapti terah tatra namuhyati. Just as a being passes from childhood to youth to old age, similarly, at the time of death, the physical body is abandoned and a new body is taken. The wise are not deluded by this. Next slide, please. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grihnati naroparani तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णानि अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि नरः यथा जीर्णानि वासांसि विहाय अपराणि नवानि गृह्णाति तथा देहि जीर्णानि शरीराणि विहाय अन्यानि नवानि संयाति. As a person sheds worn out garments and wear new ones, likewise, at the time of death, the jiva, with a subtle body or the causal body, casts off its worn out gross body and enters a new one. This is the cycle of life and death. Next slide, please. Now, why should we learn this law of rhythm? Like I said before, we'll notice that no phase is permanent in life. Happiness is followed by sorrows, sorrows are followed by happiness, success is followed by failures, and failures is followed by success. So when we understand this and also the rhythm of life, we are able to cope with the changing phases of life. We are able to do our duty with an unwavering mind. When we know that sorrows will be followed by happiness, failures by success, losses by gains, hope and positivity will prevail. Ultimately, life will be peaceful. Next slide, please. Now, how should we be in harmony with the law of rhythm? First of all, we should be equipoised. This means that we should not be overjoyed in success nor desperate in failures. We must congratulate others on the success and pacify them on their failures. Next slide, please. Now let us see what Bhagwan Sri Krishna has said on the same. Sukha dukhe same kritva labha labhau jaya jayau tato yuddhaya yujjasva naivam papam avapsyasi. Sukha dukhe labha labhau jaya jayau same kritva tatah yuddhaya yujjasva evam papam na avapsyasi. Fight for the sake of duty, treating alike happiness and distress, loss and gain, victory and defeat. Fulfilling your responsibility in this way, you will never incur sin. Next slide, please. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkadaha agama pahino nityaha tam titikshasva bharata. Hey Kaunteya, matra sparshahatu shitoshna sukha dukkadaha agama payinah anityaha tantirikshaswa. The contact between the senses and the sense objects give rise to fleeting perceptions of happiness and distress. These are non permanent and come and go like the winter and summer seasons. One must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Next slide, please. Now, the infinite, imperishable self. There is only one thing which is permanent and rises above all these cycles and rhythms, and that is the infinite, imperishable self. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayantyapaham, na shoshayati marutaha. The self can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. Achedyo yamadakyo yam, akledyo shosha evacha, nitya sarvagatasthanu, achalo yam sanatana. This individual self is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burned nor dried. It is everlasting, omnipresent, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. Next slide, please. Now, rising above the law of rhythm. Now, I'll be explaining a small physics concept which our older Vivians might already know, but let me explain for the younger ones. So, now imagine that I have a ball. When I throw this ball, it will obviously go down to the earth because of the gravitational pull of the earth, right? But if I throw this with a bit more stronger force, it will land further, right? But now, let's say I have a cannon which can launch this ball at very high speeds. And when I launch this, it goes on the Earth's orbit and starts revolving around the Earth. This is the minimum velocity or critical velocity, which is the minimum required velocity for an object to orbit around the Earth or any planet. This is the same idea which is used when you launch satellites. Now, let us imagine that this ball, which is already orbiting around the Earth, is slowly increasing with speed. At one point, it will escape the Earth's gravitational pull and launch itself towards the outer space. This is the escape velocity, or the minimum required velocity for an object to break out of the gravitational pull of the Earth or any other planet. Now, let us see how this is related to the law of rhythm. The Earth represents the cycle of life and death. The gravitational pull represents the dvandvas or dualities of life. When our mind is not balanced or focused, we are constantly pulled towards this earth or the cycle of life and death because of the dvandvas or dualities of life, the gravitational pull, remember? But when our mind slowly starts becoming more focused and balanced, we slowly rise and we reach our critical velocity where we are in harmony with the law of rhythm. Here we slowly and steadily, our mind starts becoming more balanced and more focused. When our mind is completely balanced and completely focused, we reach Sthita Prajna. This Sthita Prajna has the absolute knowledge of the self. This is the escape velocity. This Sthita Prajna is above all dualities and dvandvas. The Sthita Prajna has escaped the cycle of life and death. The Sthita Prajna has complete removal of sorrows and has attained absolute bliss or Satchidananda. Let us look at this in a step-by-step process. First, we must understand the law of rhythm in life. Once we do so, we can strive towards harmony with the law of rhythm or our critical velocity. Once we do that, we rise above the dualities and dvandvas of life and escape the cycle of life and death, and we become Stita Prajna. This Stita Prajna will get absolute knowledge of the self, which is our escape velocity. And once we have the absolute knowledge of the self, we'll have complete removal of sorrows and attain absolute bliss or Satchidananda. Next slide, please. Now, being one with the self. Karmajam bhukti yukta hi phalam tyaktva manishinaha janma bandha vinirmukta padam gacchantyanayam buddhi yukta hi manishinaha karmajam phalam tyaktva janma bandhar vinirmukta anamayam padam gacchanti. The wise endowed with equanimity of intellect abandon attachment to the fruits of actions, which bind one to the cycle of life and death. By working in such consciousness, they attain the state beyond all suffering. Now, for the first step for us children, for being one with the self, is to remove complete attachment to the results of our actions. Imagine that we are studying for exams. We are told from everywhere that we should study for the grades, we should get good marks. But we must ensure that we understand the concept of what we are being taught. Because if we understand the concept thoroughly, grades and marks will automatically follow. So we must work for the joys of the self and accept the results with prasada bhava. This is the first step for being one with the self. Next slide, please. Thank you.